think of me as the guy in college or the 20-year-old or the 25-year-old who wants to now cross the fence and become an entrepreneur.
When you have a purpose in your life and a higher purpose, let me tell you, passion purpose can take you to one level, but spiritual purpose can take you to the highest level. Chanakya is not just about writing books or giving lectures, but it's something that the world requires. So my question is about entrepreneurship is full of commitment with a plan. Without a plan, it's an idea. Worldwide, people are accepting democracy. Anybody can become a leader if you've got the right strategy. But after becoming a leader, what next?
Hi everybody, welcome to the podcast Taking Charge with Salil Chaturvedi. Here we have a man who's written 22 books. That's about 1.1 million words. And these are not just words, these are words of wisdom. This is not just knowledge, it is applied knowledge which equals to deep wisdom. And the other part is that he is a motivational speaker. He's been part of the Incredible India campaign where he's helped form the tourism policy of India. He's has his own Chanakya Institute of Leadership, which he runs from the front. He has various business verticals that he runs. So there are so many aspects to learn from him. And of course, what is closest to his heart and what he is called by the most of the world is the modern day Chanakya. And that is something which is going to be beautiful for all of us to understand from, learn from, and kind of map our own entrepreneurial journeys. So with that in mind, I would love to welcome Dr. Radhakrishnan. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And I have spoken about your achievements. So I would say you're a modern day hermit, as the Greeks put it, and you had brought it to light before we started the podcast, is there's a subject called hermitronics, where there are modern day hermits who are converting the wisdom of the past for modern day application. And I would say you are one of the leaders of that. And with that in mind, I would love you to, share some light with all the viewers on a bit of your early journey. I would love to understand who is Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. So could you please start with who is Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai?
Thank you, Salil sir. The reason I'm calling you sir is because I learned a lot from you, including sailing.
In the good old days at the Sea Cadet Co, yes, we had a beautiful time there. And I think in my formative years, it really taught me a lot. So just to clarify to everyone out there, that Sea Cadet Co is the equivalent for the NCC, but for the Indian Navy. And they prepare people for a life at Navy. And that's where I learned my early days how to sail, and which also helped me perform there and represent India for 5 World Championships. I used to sail at national level in India and abroad. And in the same organization, he was there around the same time. So this is how, as a junior probably, but today life has moved on and our life is crossing paths again. So it's such a beautiful thing. But it's a great place. We learned discipline, we learned sport, we learned to lose, how to handle failure, and we learned how to work with teams as comrades. So we have a common culture there in our learning journey. And I'm glad that you're saying that now. But I would love to, share your journey besides the Sea Cadet Co of how you came about to finding this life's purpose and mission.
Thank you, Salil sir. In fact, there's a saying that the world can be divided into 2 parts, the pre-COVID era and the post-COVID era. So my journey also you can divide into 2 parts, pre-Chanakya, post-Chanakya.
Okay. So why don't we start with the pre-Chanakya era? Because there's a lot of podcasts I've been watching where people talk about this person is so revered and he's here in life. And even our Indian, many of our novels, they talk about great achievements. But as a viewer, think of me as the guy in college or the 20-year-old or the 25-year-old who wants to now cross the fence and become an entrepreneur. What is it that this journey could have been so that they can inspire from that and find out what happens in between? Everybody knows the end game, but we need to know what's in between and how that crossover happens. So please share a bit of that.
Sure. So my pre-Chanakya days, absolutely a normal person, an average student from Ani Vidyalaya, which is in Mulund, a Mumbaikar whose parents migrated from Kerala in search of opportunities.
Oh, nice.
A single child, no siblings.
Okay.
So, but not at all a spoiled brat.
That's good.
Fortunately, had great upbringing, a spiritual background, and a family of literature. We had a lot of books. My father is an author. He writes in Malayalam, so maybe I got that in my genes.
Oh, so that is very interesting to know that your father was an author and you had a mentor right in house, and kind of culturally it does seep in what our parents do, right, in life. So that led to this. Interesting. And can you throw some light about that journey onwards?
So I've been very fortunate that the book culture was there. Of course, he was professional engineer, but writing was his passion. It came into me. But the whole idea was that I was very passionate about education. I may not be the topper of the class, yet I never failed. Yet the knowledge seeking was there. And it so happened that in my career also, if you look at it, the professional career, it was like, being studious, did my job well. Even in my companies that I worked, I was like fairly overachiever. But then, life changes for better. And the Chanakya journey started when I went to Kailash Mansarovar, where I got this whole guidance and saying that you should dedicate your life to Chanakya. I said, okay, I have a travel company, I have a business. But then it'll be
So how did that transition happen? If you don't, because you did your MBA, you ticked all the boxes as per the Indian theory, and you ended up in a great job, I believe, with a music company, and then to get that exposure at such a young age, and then a jewelry company, you helped them grow. Then you went into, I think, Mark Mascarenas?
Yeah.
And you work on sports talent management, which was unknown and unheard of at the time. So could you throw us a little bit about how those experiences shaped you, and also what was that trigger point which led you to becoming an entrepreneur and throwing all this up? Because it's a different thing to throw that up when your career is going badly and you do it for survival. Like in my case, I was not as deeply educated enough, so my best chance was to be an entrepreneur. But in your case, you definitely had everything going for you. So can you unpack that a little for me?
Sure. In fact, I'll tell you, in my early 20s, I had made a checklist, which we call a bucket list, right? Usually people make a bucket list at the end of their life and to do this. But so I had this list, okay? And it's a very surprising exercise. I think all of you should do that.
Okay.
So I made a list, okay, that time I was still doing my graduation. I want to be a, MBA, because during our days, MBA was like big. Later on, I said, okay, I should write a book. Then I said, okay, I should do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. And then when I looked at the list, I was saying that, why don't you think the biggest? Why think big? So I said, MBA chodo PhD.
Oh, wow.
So I would say, why write a book? I should write multiple books.
Nice.
Okay, then I said, okay, why can't I be an entrepreneur? No, why can't I teach entrepreneurs?
Wow.
And I said, okay, I started writing this list and just put it off. At the age of 27, I don't know, I was cleaning the cupboard, and I was surprised that when I opened that list was overachieved.
Oh.
So it's actually PhD with a gold medal.
Wow. Wow.
So I said, now what next? And that's where I think the journey turns around when you have a purpose in your life and a higher purpose. Let me tell you, passion purpose can take you to one level, but spiritual purpose can take you to the highest level. So that's when,
That's profound. That's profound.
Thank you. So when I actually, I would say the turning point were two. Number one, when Mark died, because along with Mark, it's not about the end of my professional career, but I would say it was a new change for a better when I decided to not go back to a job, because my spiritual guru, Swami Tejavanji from Chinmaya Mission, told me, why you are looking out for another job? Even though I had many job offers, why don't you think about creating jobs?
Wow.
So I became an entrepreneur, and then I started.
And this is a spiritual guru who gave you the advice to be a entrepreneur and create jobs. Absolutely. Very interesting.
And fortunately, the second turning point was when I went to Kailash Mansarovar with almost 60 doctors from US.
Wow.
And there, I don't know why I got this inspiration and said I should study.
What took you to Mount Kailash with 60 doctors?
So I have a company called as Atma Darshan, which is into spiritual tourism.
So this was the start of your entrepreneurial journey. You started a spiritual company that does tourism for spirituality focus.
Absolutely.
Oh, very
so
nice.
we take them
So which year did you start this?
the year 2000.
Oh, very
And
nice.
I can clearly tell you why 2K era. When the IT industry was booming, we are also looking at probably at tourism as a big industry. The government is recognizing it now. And I was part of the lot of tourism policies for the government then.
Wow.
Even though I was young, but fortunately, a lot of tourists, almost 30,000 tourists from almost 100 companies used to come to us then.
I think a very interesting learning over here is that your spiritual leaning has led to your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure.
And it's really beautiful that, for the youth who sometimes don't look upon spirituality as a doorway, could learn from this deeply and understand that a spiritual mission, like you also explained, can really lead you to your purpose, and a spiritual mission can also create a much better journey for you. So I would love you to for you to share a bit about what is this spirituality and how it touched you, and what role did it play in your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. So let me break down spirituality into three parts. What is the general understanding, your personal journey, and of course the highest. So for most of us, spirituality could be practicing some tradition, culture, rituals. So I think most of us do that in our own little ways. So going to maybe a temple or a church on a regular day, that's the starting point.
Sure.
But as you evolve, you get into the philosophy part of it. So then you start understanding, okay, spirituality is not just about this. Of course, they are part of it. They are, the kind of an actions that you take, habits that you develop. But then philosophically, you start reading books. You get exposed to different philosophies, maybe a Bhagavad Gita or any other spiritual text that you get into. But the third is very important, where you start realizing, okay, we are spiritual beings on a human journey, not human beings on a spiritual journey.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So when you get into that, you said, okay, there's a universal power that inspires you. It's beyond culture, it's beyond religion, it's beyond languages. And when you touch that, you can come back and become better in this world also. So for me, the whole thing stuck when I found a purpose that Chanakya is not just about writing books or giving lectures, but it's something that the world requires. Imagine I'm not teaching the Arthashastra for the naval officers now, starting from SCC, where we were learning right from how to, sail a boat.
Right.
Now teaching the vice admirals how to manage the whole Indian Armed Forces.
Wow.
Interestingly, today I'm giving a talk to the Ministry of Defense.
Oh, fantastic.
So the journey has been good, but I personally feel that it's all because of God's grace. That's spirituality.
Absolutely. So in that sense, spirituality has really shaped your journey in a big way. And I would like to understand that when you took this call of shifting, when you had a great job, right? And your guru tells you that why don't you do something entrepreneurial, etc. Wasn't there some fear? Because you might have had a family by then, I suppose?
Yes.
So you were married? And what was your wife's take on throwing this all up and trying to start a business? What was her view on this?
So for all the viewers, this is a very important point. If you want to have a journey of life, be it spiritual or material, your spouse plays a very important role. Fortunately for me, Surekha, my wife, has been part of the spiritual journey even before we got married.
Okay.
So she's been part of Chinmaya Mission.
Oh, fantastic.
And let me tell you, we had a deal.
What was that deal? I would love to know.
Okay, so when we got married, I still remember, I had told her, I'm very clear that I want to focus on my entrepreneurial journey. It's not going to be easy, especially the India that we were born in. It was lack of resources. And I always tell, we were born in a poor India. Our children will die in a rich India.
True that. We are going to see that.
And she said, okay, you have to be part of my entrepreneurial journey. And because both of us had a spiritual base, she told me a different thing. You have to support my talent, which is dancing. So she's a dancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I said,
excellent.
okay,
Yeah.
let's shake hands.
Yeah, that was well done. Well done.
So for me, this journey, even though it has its ups and downs, like you know it better than me, yet the support of your closest friend, your life partner is important. And she has never told me no, and I have never told no to her also.
But if you don't mind me asking, at that point in time, what were the savings with which you took this journey of going into enterprise? Because firstly, it needs some investment. You're talking about an era which is not full of private equity and venture capital like today. And then there needs to be a base amount of safety capital net before you jump into this journey. So what kind of runway did you have?
So now you're putting on the business strategist here. Many people don't know that tourism is a negative capital industry.
Wow, you got my attention now. Keep going.
So I'll tell you. Now look at the word called capital. What is capital for? You have a kind of a capital that you require. Let's say you are putting a manufacturing plant.
Sure.
You require plant, machinery, etc. But the tourism industry does not work like that if you are smart.
Okay.
You actually get your money before the services are given.
Oh yeah, it's a negative working capital.
Absolutely. So you
Fantastic.
actually don't require capital. Of course, you have to be smart.
True.
Don't invest in an office.
And the spiritual destinations are already made.
Yeah.
You have to invest nothing in them.
So I was lucky that the only equity I had put was sweat equity.
Okay.
You have to put your life into it.
Okay. So this was a conscious thought. You had understood the cash flow and how it works and then applied it and then selected this business?
Understand one thing, branding comes a little bit later, and a lot of people are burning cash to create brands. I understood consciously that India's biggest brand is actually tourism. People come from all over the world not to
Experience
see
India.
Yeah, and that's very subtle. So when we say yoga, okay, people look at the yogasanas, the physical form. Yes, it's important, but there is some energies that you will find in the temples, in the ashrams, maybe outside in a spiritual place, maybe a sea or a mountain. Now, how do you sell that as a product or a service? It's not easy. So in the tourism industry, by the way, it's the world's biggest industry, which includes multiple industries. The hotels are included, airlines, cabbies, the shopping malls.
Yeah, it's a massive industry.
I was smart enough because of my experience to understand.
And it is so underpenetrated in India. Apparently, the total number of tourists that India gets in a year, I think, is happening to Thailand in a month.
Absolutely.
So there's so much room, and I think India is not just one country. It's like so many countries, and within that there is so much to be discovered, and the scope is unlimited for it to go on. So this is beautiful that how you found this business and you found it close to your purpose and you moved towards this. And at that point, you're saying that took you to Mount Kailasha and you were taking these. So what was that profound moment where you found your purpose? I'm delving on this because, somewhere in your books also, you have spoken about Swadharma.
Yeah.
And which is there in the scriptures where people find their purpose. So I would love to understand that for you it happened very poetically, and for some people whom it may not happen so poetically, can it be sought after? Is there a way to decode and how to find it? I would love you to throw some light on your journey along with what your principles are.
Thank you, Salil sir. See, in fact, there's a podcast on this topic also. Okay. Finding a Swadharma.
We will attach it in the links and we would love people to watch for that.
So it's a process of discovery. So what's Swadharma? It's a word that comes very frequently in Indian scriptures. What you're naturally born for.
Okay.
So some people are born entrepreneurs, some people are born artists, scientists, etc., etc. And I realized one thing, I was a born writer and speaker.
Okay.
But took me some time. But the point here is that the turning point happened in Kailash Mansarovar. When this whole thought came in, study the Arthashastra. Fortunately, my wife was around.
Okay.
So as even this thought is coming to me, what should I do?
She's a very important lady in your life, I can understand.
Most important.
Any big turning point, she comes into the story.
Surrounded by ladies.
We'll have to do one podcast with you and her together.
Sure. And she's going to bash me up.
Well, that's part of the job. Yeah, you're a husband. You should take that.
I have a daughter also. But I always say we are surrounded by three strong ladies.
Yeah.
So my mother, of course, is not there, but she shaped me up a lot. My wife, my daughter, and let me not forget, I married into a family where, along with my mother-in-law, I got two sister-in-laws also.
Oh, excellent. Okay. That's bonus in India.
Absolutely. So the whole idea was to understand that this is meant for you. But I'll tell you something, especially for those people who are in a journey of discovery. Suppose you think this is my talent or Swadharma. Please make sure somebody gives us a verification. So you may on a journey, it's like children saying, I want to be a pilot. Because you went on a flight one day, मुझे भी pilot बनना है या train चलाना है.
Sure.
That's not passion, that's not Swadharma. That may be an idea. But something you dedicate your life completely. How do you do that? For me, luckily, my wife told me, go and verify this whole idea with a spiritual guru. So there was Swami Ishwaranji then. I asked him saying that this thought is coming to me that I should dedicate my life to Chanakya Arthashastra. You know what he told me? Go and study this in a regular Gurukul in Kerala.
Okay.
And that's where the turning point happened.
This was whose advice?
Swami Ishwaranji again from Chinmaya Mission.
Oh my God, the Chinmaya Mission has really shaped your life. So guys, whoever is thinking that spirituality cannot get you there, doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, what part of your journey you are on. I would say this is a big learning that your spiritual journey has to begin. There is no age early enough to start.
Earlier the better.
Earlier the better. So sir, please could you just throw some more light on what the Arthashastra or wherever, which sutra have you picked up the Swadharma from, and what does that say about how Swadharma has to be found?
In fact, I'll tell you, Arthashastra goes one step ahead. Number one, finding your own Swadharma, and as a leader, because Arthashastra is a leadership book, a leader has to ensure everybody finds his or her Swadharma.
It's a leader's job to find that in other people. That's beautiful.
So I have to find my Swadharma, but as a nation or a kingdom, everybody should find their Swadharma. Because only Swadharma can make you happy.
That's beautiful. In fact, there is a beautiful book called The Wealth of Nations, written by a very famous economist called Adam Smith. And the core of the philosophy is for that nation to find what it is innately great for the world and what it has to offer to the world. So I think, but it was there with the Kautilya Arthashastra 5,000 years before Adam Smith came up with it. And it's very interesting that how important it is to spot what you possess or what you have. And you found it through your help of your spiritual peers, and writing and authoring and speaking was your medium. And for someone who is, let's say I'm your 16 to 24-year-old, which is because, a lot of people who have achieved greatness have been blessed by God to have found what they love very early in life. Warren Buffett started investing, my guru, started investing when he was 11 years old. Bill Gates was selling a software to IBM at 17. My daughter is 16. I cannot believe that next year she could be selling something to Apple which would change the course of internet history. So it's unbelievable how they found their Swadharma so early. So for those people who want to find it early, is there some path that you can tell or some formula that they can find to decode themselves?
Sure. In fact, I did that when I was on a self-discovery journey, and you can practice it. I would suggest that, lock yourself in a room, okay, just 2-3 hours. Keep your mobile away. Take a pen and paper and do 2 things.
Okay.
I mean, you can do both or either of them. End result is the same, discovering a Swadharma. So one is write down a list of things that you love to do.
Okay.
So maybe acting, singing, writing, just list down. And then you ask yourself, okay, which among these 10 things that I've listed I am more passionate about? So maybe you come down to one of them. In my case, it was writing.
Okay.
That's one way. And then you say, okay, then you logically say, okay, authorship. But then you start thinking, okay, but look at the various aspects. Number one, will my family support it? Is there a commercial angle to it?
How will you monetize?
Monetize it.
Very good
Can it be a long-term career? So you put all your thinking hats, and then finally you say, okay, authorship is meant for me, or singing or acting is meant for me. So that's one way. There's another way. What I don't like to do.
Okay.
I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be an artist.
What kind of activities you don't enjoy? Desk job you don't enjoy, something like that.
So this is what you don't want to do. But surprisingly, your heart will tell you what you like to do. So when you're thinking what I don't want to do and what I want to do, the end result is the same.
Interesting.
Now, that's only part A. Suppose I decide on authorship with looking at all the things that, okay, I may have to convince my family, maybe there is a career out of it, maybe there is money on this, whatever. Or somebody decides to be a scientist. Now comes a very interesting part. You think I have found my purpose. Who is going to verify it? Because see, business ideas without mentorship is a failure already. So I say, go to the expert of that field. For example,
Okay.
you want to be an artist. Go to a person who is a successful artist. If you're a sportsman, go to a person who is already a successful sportsman and ask him, I have narrowed down, I looked at this as my passion and my purpose of my life. What do you think? And every great person knows that, there is some talent, but it's raw.
Okay.
Like if you go to a singing teacher and you discover your passion is singing, वो आपको बोलेंगे सुर लगाओ. And then you say, okay, he's got it in him or her.
Okay.
That's when you can commit your life.
Third party validation from a domain expertise person.
Absolutely. And once you do that, now you're on a journey. Don't look back. And please don't leave the hand of the mentor. A lot of people think it's a journey alone. And of course, you can have friends along with you. But mentorship is very important according to Chanakya, because even a Raja requires a Raja Guru. So make sure you have your purpose and people will keep you on the purpose.
Beautiful. And for those of you out there who may find that it's difficult to find a mentor, today it's not only the mentor you can access, but the best of every field are running podcasts, they are writing on Twitter, they're doing their lives are out there. So it's also the media you consume. So it's not only the person you can reach, but also the media you consume. And therefore you could maybe start with that to begin with to help find your Swadharma. Thank you for that nugget. Now, moving on, I would say the second part of an entrepreneur's journey would flow through from him finding his Swadharma to now what are the steps that he can take. Like you did a beautiful job of finding out that it was a cash flow negative business. It was a nice unmet opportunity. It had, a lot of room for growth. So a lot of tick marks in that sense. So what would you advise for others after they've taken the third party validation? How do they come up with a plan that how should they go about executing this plan in their entrepreneurial journey?
In fact, you said it nicely. A lot of people have ideas, but they don't have plans. I read a very interesting statement. A genius without a plan can be defeated by a fool with a plan.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful statement.
So please understand, if you discovered it, you need to have a plan. What's the difference? Idea is like, okay, tourism industry, great idea. But can you work on an Excel sheet? And let me tell you, it's very important to think in numbers. What's my commitment? People say, okay, I'm an entrepreneurial journey, I'm committed to it lifelong. Sorry. That's the biggest mistake. In everything there is something called trial. So I want to try this, maybe I'll give it a year or two, whatever. But don't ever think that it's going to be life committed, because the business model also will change. So plan out your numbers. If you don't have an experience, ask the mentor.
Sure.
Do some research, try out and work somewhere if required to get a hang of it. The best entrepreneurs got their experience in some other companies before they started themselves. So think about it, and after you have a plan, execute it. The one word after discovering the Swadharma is called lifelong commitment.
Okay.
So, I would say it's like an engagement period which becomes a lifelong marriage. It's okay to break an engagement, but not a marriage.
Beautiful.
By the time you have children, when your business grows or any particular venture grows, you have a team. You are responsible for it as a leader. And the word that I really love is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is full of energy. It's about drive. And it doesn't matter whether it's business, whether it's being a scientist, an innovator, an artist, you have to be passionate about it. I know of a very interesting artist, and she went from Bombay to Kerala to study what is called Bharatnatyam then. And she came back and said, I want to create a whole, society which appreciates Bharatnatyam beyond just entertainment. Can you believe she committed a whole life, and her name is Kanaka Rele. So Kanaka Rele committed her whole life that today it's become an institute. So my question is about entrepreneurship is full of commitment with a plan. Without a plan, it's an idea. But plan and commitment definitely makes you an enterprising person, whichever field you choose.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. So, Dr. Pillai, this is a beautiful, set of advice that you've given, from finding your Swadharma to putting a plan of action and all of that. And obviously, you have got so much of this knowledge through all these books that you've put out there, Corporate Chanakya, there is so many other forms. And if you could throw a little light about, Chanakya's work through his life, and what is the lens from which you have been looking at it and making it accessible, amenable, and applicable. So if you could throw some light on that, of what has Chanakya really achieved as a person.
So there are two parts to Chanakya. The first one is very popular, the story of Chanakya, which people, we have seen in dramas, in television serials. That's the starting point. But the second part of Chanakya, the intellectual property that he created. And for me, that's his books, the Arthashastra and Chanakya. So you can get carried away by the story of his life, which is inspiring, definitely. He takes an oath to dethrone Dhananand and then makes Chandragupta Maurya the king. But there is a very important dimension about what do you do after you are successful.
Oh, that's beautiful. Because that is a very strong point at which companies stop. People end up building the company and then they hit a plateau. And that's beautiful. So how does this help?
Yeah. So let me tell you, if you study the Arthashastra, it's a very different book. So I always tell the politicians, there are two stages of your political leadership career. One is to win the elections. And what do you do after you win the elections?
Very interesting.
So imagine you're a CEO of a company and maybe you inherited it. Now the journey starts, and that's why he writes a manual. It's a leadership manual, according to me. How to run a kingdom. You're already the king, and you have to grow it.
So the Kautilya Shastra, Arthashastra, covers governance, policy, and how to run an organization efficiently.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
how to run it internationally.
Okay, how to make it global.
Global. In fact,
Wow.
there's a Sanskrit word called as Vigijishu.
Vigijishu.
Vigijishu is one who wants to be a global leader.
Wow.
And this is not.
So he's talking world domination in that time.
Yes.
My God.
And many of us don't even know about it. And that's what I got excited. If you want to play the game, better be a World Cup winner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that is totally applicable because I find that the companies that come out of the valley and the culture which is in the valley or in America per se as a country have been coming out with solutions for the world, and which is why they've got companies that are now ruling the world. So when they were creating a Google or when they were creating a Facebook, they were not only looking at solving for America. From the word get-go, they were solving for the world.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why they've got some great companies and great value that they've created and wealth they've created. And I think this thought of yours is so important. And I can't believe that it was originated in India and Chanakya was the person who actually brought it out, that we should think about world domination while creating. That's beautiful.
And world domination is not negative.
Okay.
So let me tell you, so when you say domination, we think about somebody going and conquering somebody. No, you can create an impact. Like when I get used to certain global products, I don't want to come down.
Right.
I mean, they understood the psyche. So when Chanakya says you have to be a global leader, it is for service. It is not a power game.
Wow.
Of course, with global approach, you may get global power. But after that, what? That's where Chanakya comes in. Please understand, in fact, I deal with a lot of leaders, with the corporate leaders, the military leaders. I work with the political leaders, administrative leaders,
Wow.
academic leaders. And I found for them, they have reached a plateau. For example, becoming a principal of a college is like, for me, achievement. I think, okay, I mean, fine, great. From a teacher, you become a headmistress and now you become a principal. In the army, let's say you become a head of a unit or whatever. I said, okay, now what?
Where from here?
And in fact, that's where Chanakya starts.
Wow.
So a lot of people, journey ends when they get a position. And Chanakya says, now the journey starts. And that's where probably we need to understand you will be successful. I'm not worried about it. Especially if you look at the globe today, human race is not about just following somebody. Worldwide, people are accepting democracy. Anybody can become a leader if you've got the right strategy. But after becoming a leader, what next? So there are processes to it. And Chanakya goes into the details of even creating a daily timetable for a king.
Wow.
So what time you should get up? What is the first activity you should do?
So productivity mapping as well.
Absolutely.
Very
and in
nice.
terms of minutes and numbers,
Wow.
can you believe that you can look at Chanakya as a data scientist?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And he had the idea of collation of data and analytics of data in the Kautilya Arthashastra.
Interestingly, the first chapter of Arthashastra starts with that. If you're
Wow.
not a person good in numbers, you can't be an entrepreneur.
That's beautifully said.
And please understand, I'm not talking about maths in the terms of academics. You have to be good in numbers. Look at some of the greatest business communities in India. For example, if you look at the Sindhis, Gujaratis, Marwadis, academically they may not be very good, or may not be, but they have a business acumen. They can think in numbers. And Chanakya spoke about this quality as an essential quality of a leader. Let me quote a Sanskrit verse. Anvikshiki is the quality of a leader to think strategically. And what is Anvikshiki? Sankhya Yoga Lokayata iti Anvikshiki. Sankhya is Sankhya.
Sankhya, okay, numbers.
Numbers. So please understand, friends, I'm not talking about equations and formulas that we learned in school. But can you have a sense of numbers? For example, for a leader, time management is important. Understanding the balance sheet is important. Cash flows.
True.
So these are all business words, but it's important even in the political space. If you are leader of a country, you should know that the tax collection is important. I need to do this. So what I'm telling you all this, we have this wealth of wisdom because of which we are the richest country in the world. So it's very important to develop those acumens that is important for leadership in any space. So for me, Arthashastra is the book of leadership with strategic thinking.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what about the other book that Chanakya has written? Could you throw some light on that part also? Because Kautilya Arthashastra was his book about overall, and I think 6,000 sutras.
Yes.
And I learned that from you only. And the other one, Chanakya Niti, is about 350 sutras.
Yes.
So what is so distinct and what are the better takeaways that each has against the other? Can you throw some light on that?
So there are a lot of differences. One is the numbers you spoke about. So one is 6,000, like a huge voluminous work. Other is 350. So what are the differences I have found? The Chanakya Niti is for a common man.
Oh, okay.
Anybody can start. While Arthashastra is for leaders. So it's like, you're going to be leading a country, you require that training.
Sure.
Other important thing is that you can start with Chanakya Niti, but slowly you migrate into Arthashastra. Or I would say, if you have studied the Arthashastra, you can even understand essence of Chanakya Niti.
Okay.
So I would say in Sanskrit,
But would you say that the sutras are completely different?
they are different,
Okay. Wow.
but they are interconnected.
Okay.
So,
They lead into each other.
yeah, absolutely. They are complementary.
So you can say this is the undergrad and that is the PhD?
Yes.
Okay. And you have done the PhD on both. So that's beautiful. And a gold medalist as well. I mean, that's such an honor to have you. So I have a question here is that I would like to throw light on your latest book, which I would like to share with all the viewers as well, is Chanakya's 100 Best Sutras. So after, this is the 22nd book.
Yes.
So firstly, a big congratulations on the launch of this book. And I would love it for all you viewers to get a copy of this. And I think out of the 6,350 sutras, this has been condensed into the top 100 with the maximum takeaways possible that a person can get handy and fast. So could you throw some light on how this book is going to help the youth of today and actually all the people in the world of today? Because you're helping even people who are at the prime of their careers, boards, large companies, etc. So how can someone benefit truly by possessing this book?
So I'll tell you, this was the most easiest book and the most difficult book to write. Because number one, easy because you're only writing a book on 100 sutras out of 6,000. But the difficult part was to select those 100 out of 6,000. I've been fortunate that my publisher Jaco gave me this project and say you have to write on 100. Because somewhere the number 100 is something which is fascinating for the world.
Correct.
The 100 best sutras.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you'll be surprised what's the essential beauty of this book. You can read this book from any page.
Sure.
And it's just a 1-minute read.
Okay.
So today, people have a problem with time.
Right.
So open any page, it talks about personal development, it talks about professional development, it talks about spiritual development and social development.
Wow.
So all aspects
All
of
aspects of your life.
covered. So open any page, read it.
Wow, lovely. That's beautifully put. So when you wore the lens of being the curator who picked these 100, it's a very tough job for someone who loves everything that has come through this scriptures of Chanakya. What was the lens you were wearing so that these 100 took precedence over the others?
So I'll tell you, one of my reasons for success of all my 22 books, imagine all 22 books are bestsellers, is only one point.
Wow.
Single agenda, that my reader should not feel lost. So I always look at this from the reader's perspective. So I look at, okay, if it's the chairman of a company,
Right.
or the head of, let's say, the armed forces,
Right.
or the president or the prime minister of a country, and a common man, and a student of 12th standard, if he or she reads it, can you connect? Because you may be knowledgeable. How does it matter? You need to have that connect. So I've simplified the language in such a way that anybody who is a beginner and an expert of Chanakya can find some value add.
So the simplification helps in the accessibility.
Yes.
But what is the takeaway that focuses on building these 100 sutras versus, because there's wisdom in each one of them. So how do you bring it down to 100? I mean, that's less than 0.5%. I mean, so how did you manage to condense and say, okay, these 100? Because I would find it very difficult to prioritize. So what helped you in that journey, in that process?
So I'll tell you again, the same point, Salil sir, was how to bring out those 100. Not an easy task, but what it does that I picked up, according to my own reflections and my own study, that these could be applicable for a common man.
Okay.
Then comes an interesting journey. Please understand, for those people who want to be an author in the future, it's never your book. It's never your book.
Wow.
It's actually a journey between you and your publishers for the readers.
Wow.
So I'll tell you that many aspects. So when I got this filtered down to 200, I sent it to my publishers and said, I think these are the best according to me. Now they had to tell me that out of this 200, these are the 100. So it's not about you, it's about them. It's about everyone involved in the ecosystem.
Nice.
So it was easy for me because 6,000 sutras, but difficult to get the 200.
Correct.
But out of 200, you bring it down to 100.
Okay.
So it's always this discussion that I have with my publishers. Imagine I'm writing 4 more books on Arthashastra.
Wow. Yeah, because it's such a wealth of knowledge. They could, and even if you pick one aspect, there's so much. Because, there's so much said about the art of war by Sun Tzu, which is a famous Chinese general. But that is restricted to just war.
Right.
And look at this. This is about a way of life, of running an economy, running your personal relationships, running a court, running ministries, everything. So, it's really been eye-opening to have you do on this journey, sharing all this and bringing this out to the world. And I think there is so much that the viewers and the readers would gain from this book. And what I found, which is beautiful, is that each sutra is not more than 2 or 3 pages. So you can actually just put it into your morning breakfast routine, that you pick one sutra a day, and I think even 2 or 3 nuggets of wisdom could alter your whole destiny and your life. So it's beautiful that you brought this through.
Thank you.
And I would like to now say that, a lot about Chanakya is about leadership. And a lot about being an entrepreneurship is also about leadership. And you said yourself that he should have overall knowledge nowadays. He should have an understanding of numbers. He should have an understanding of how markets work, etc., etc. So as per the Chanakya Sutras, what do you think are the great qualities of a leader who wishes to be an entrepreneur?
So there are 53 qualities of leadership given in the Arthashastra.
Wow.
I mean, that's huge.
That's a lot of skill sets to possess.
But right now, I'll just tell you 2-3 essentials.
Sure.
The first quality is intelligent and dynamic.
Okay.
There are not 2 qualities.
Okay.
So it's 2 sides of the same coin.
Wow.
You have to be studious, you have to be research oriented. That makes you intelligent. So you may not be educated with a PhD, that's fine. That's an additional chapa to get a doctorate.
Sure.
But intelligence is about gathering observation and distilling into knowledge that can become insights. But a lot of people have insights, but they don't have application. So if you have ideas, you have distilled it, apply it. So dynamism is also there along with intelligence.
Beautiful.
A lot of people have great ideas, they have intelligence, then only they become consultant to others.
Very nice.
But an entrepreneur should put those ideas
Yeah.
with the help of mentors. The second quality, and that's my favorite, and it's a Sanskrit word called Utsaha Vardhaka.
Okay.
You have to be enthusiastic, dynamic, but you have to inspire others, your team members. Utsaha Vardhaka.
A leader is one who can motivate others,
Inspire.
inspire them.
Remember this difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is always because of. Inspiration is in spite of.
Wow. Beautifully put. Wow.
So you can always give them some benefits. That's motivation. If you do this,
True
you'll
that.
get this, you'll do this, carrot and stick. If you don't do this. But inspiration is that there's nothing, no resources, but still I can win the war.
Wow.
So that's inspiration. Can you inspire people and say, okay, let's go and conquer the world? But we don't have resources, we don't have brands. You know what a leader says? We don't have anything, but we have you.
All right. That's
As long as you have
That's
skin in the
beautiful.
game,
Yeah.
you can win it. Of
Yeah.
course, resources, everything helps. But I have seen a lot of companies having huge resources, finances, still they are failures.
Okay.
So it's a leadership quality to get inspired and inspire others. And the
Okay.
third, which is again one of my favorites, Vriddha Sanyogaha. That
Okay.
means always getting input from others. Especially Vriddha means experienced people.
Right.
So you have to be always on the learning curve.
Wow.
You have to keep learning, evolving. So if a leader has these few qualities, of course you can study the remaining 50 qualities also, but you definitely will succeed in whichever field you decide.
Okay. That's beautiful. So you map it from the beginning all the way to his learning curve. So the learning never ends.
Never.
It's beautiful. So if I would talk to someone who's out there, wouldn't it become so important? You have mentioned this all the way. There's a guru, there's a mentor, there's someone to go and validate with. How does one go about finding that right mentor? See, many times we won't have the choice to select our mentor. What are your learnings on that? And just had Chanakya given a set of codes of how to go about it? And how does one go about this in real life? Because it's a very, very important role, the spiritual guru or the business guru. So if there's such a big role for the mentor and guru, what can one do to acquire this?
So it's a very commonly asked question, how do you find your guru? Never go for guru shopping. He's not a product that you find in a mall or anywhere else. So I'll tell you the process to it also.
Beautiful.
So this is a natural law. When the student is ready, the teacher arrives.
Wow, Gautam Buddha. How nice to hear that.
But how do you make yourself ready? That's very important. I'd say there are two kind of students. One is called Eklavya and the other is called Arjuna.
Wow.
Arjuna learns from the teacher directly one-to-one. If you're not lucky, it's fine. You may be some remote corner of the world and your role model could be sitting in America or some other part of the world. You can still learn from today's podcast that we are doing.
Yes.
Or you can read the books. You
Right.
can have discussions about him or her. And
Correct.
one day, surprisingly, you'll land up in that particular person's place.
Wow.
So you start from where you are and
Right.
you achieve what you want to achieve by facing that person face to face one day. So Eklavya never met his guru physically till he was following the journey.
That's
and
so
one day he landed
true.
up.
Beautiful. That's a
doesn't
beautifully
matter.
inspiring.
You need to follow your journey sincerely, whatever resources you have right now. I'll give you an example. I keep traveling so much across the world, across our country, and I get so many feedbacks. So I'll tell you one incident that happened in Chennai. I was addressing a seminar for entrepreneurs, and this person comes and tells me, "Thank you for changing my life." I said, "Who are you, first of all?" Saying that if you change my life, I change your life, but who are you? Saying I'm an entrepreneur in this business and all. And he told me that he read my book, Corporate Chanakya.
Oh,
Now
nice.
think about it. I never met him, he never met me, but he
True.
met me through my books. And he told me today I got, 4,000 people working under me.
That's beautiful.
Now think about it, a person never met, but he got inspired by Chanakya thought in the book.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, whether it's podcast or maybe it's book or any other format. Start from where you are and finally you land up with your guru one day or the other.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So that's such an easy way to have decoded how someone can go out there and find their gurus and find their mentors. And don't fret or fume if you don't already have them. They are available thanks to the technology now, and they are all putting their thoughts out there. Gain from that experience. Read books. Go in depth into these books, and through that also you can acquire this till time puts you in a position where you can actually spend one-on-one time with them and then move from there. A lot of you should not worry and fret or fume if you don't have a mentor. He has given you the whole playbook. You've shared so much of your life. Thank you for that. And from finding your purpose to making a plan to going out and finding a mentor to actually executing, I mean, on every level, this has been so much of value to everybody who wishes to be an entrepreneur and who wishes to be a great leader or create a great business. I mean, there's so much. This is unlimited. I definitely feel we need a lot more podcast taking into every silo and breaking down every piece of this. So I would thank you again and must profess that I wish I had got to hear this when I was 18 and it would have definitely helped my life. And with that, I would like to conclude today's podcast. And I have a small question for you, sir, that before we sign off, if there is any message that you would like to give to the young budding entrepreneurs over there, or even people who are in their own life, in their corporate careers. I mean, it's not necessary you only have to be an entrepreneur to succeed, but just personal growth journey for them to even succeed in their corporate careers. Please, any signing off comments, we would love that.
This is my favorite. Never fight a battle alone. Take some friends along.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So please find your friends and please read the book. So all of you who are out there watching right now, I would love you to like, share, subscribe, become a part of this community. Please share with us what you think about this podcast, what you learned from it, anything that we can learn from you, who else you would like to see on this podcast, what topics you would like covered. And we would love for you to be part of this journey where we create worth and we create wealth together, and you can be with us in that journey ahead. Thank you.